Hello, Stampers. How are you today? I have a very special project for you. I'm going to show you how to make this card, and we are going to use partial die cutting. I don't know if you can see this, but this soft suede layer is popped up on dimensionals, and it is cut out with the die. I used 2 dies to just do some partial die cutting. You can see it's attached here. I didn't go all the way through. So I'm excited to show you this technique today. As soon as I saw this stamp set, I just had a vision for this card. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. There's the envelope, and I'll go ahead and show you. Look at that. I'm also going to show you how to get those images with one of the stamp sets that's in the card with a variety of inks. So we are using the Beauty of Friendship stamp set. This is in the new annual catalog by Stampin' Up. It's the 21-22 annual catalog, came out earlier this year in May. And it really has some beautiful stamps in it. Lots of variety. I love trees, and there are lots of things you can do with it. I've done a couple of cards, and I'll continue to show you some of the others. So that's the stamp set. These are the dies that I'm going to use from the stamp set. And let's get started. So I'm going to move those out of the way for now. So the first thing we'll do is cut our cardstock. And I started with a card base. This is a Mossy Meadow cardstock. It's cut 8.5 by 5.5, which is half of a piece of our cardstock. And it's scored at 4 1/4. That's our card base. And then you will need 2 of these. These are soft suede. Love this color. They're cut 5 1/4 by 4, so it's just a little bit smaller than the card base. One will be used for the inside of the card, and one for the outside. So there's 2. We're going to do our partial die cut on this soft suede layer. And then I've got another layer for the inside. It's cut at 3.5 by 4 3/4. This is just your basic white cardstock, and we're going to stamp on that for the inside. And then just a couple of pieces of scrap. You can see I've already cut out the birds. There's just a single die that I used. So this is pumpkin pie. It's one of the colors that coordinates with this paper, with the designer series paper that comes in this suite. And then another scrap of basic white for the sentiment that's on the front. So the first thing I like to do when I get started with any card is go ahead and fold and burnish the edges. And then kind of set that aside so that I don't get any goopy stuff on it. So I'm going to just do that. So what I'm going to show you today, I'm going to start with showing you how to do this partial die cut, because that's the big purpose of my video today. This is not something that's easy to do or to show or explain in a PDF. So we've got these two dies. This is actually, as you can see, it's going to cut out the tree part, but I don't want the whole thing cut out. I want to leave part of it on the paper. So I'm going to line it up about there. I'm kind of centering it, and it's about 1/4 inch down from the top of the paper. And I'm going to go ahead, and I just have this removable tape that I'm going to put on there just to hold that down for myself. And I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine and show you how to do this. I hope I can do this without, sorry. That was what I was trying to avoid, was hitting the camera. Sorry. So you saw how I lined it up. I've got my sandwich, my base plate, my thin die adapter, and then here I've got 2 cutting plates. So I put that first cutting plate down with the thin die adapter and the base, and then I'm going to lay this on. And what I'm going to do is, you'll see I'm only going to bring the second plate to this dot here. There's an opening there. Here, maybe I can show it to you this way. I'm going to lay it right there. You see there's that little dot there. That's as far as I want to go with my top plate. So that it's only going to cut to that point, and that just happened to be a convenient place, and it was an easy to remember. So I thought, okay, I'm going to remember that. And I'm just going to put it in my die cutting machine, slide it in. Oops, there's my, make sure the whole sandwich goes in there. All right, let's do that again. Slide that over. All right, push that through. And as you can see, my plate is only going to that part there. And I go ahead and I'm rotating, and I'm gonna bring it all the way through. And then it stops cutting because, of course, there is no die. So that's the first part. And you see what you get is this partially die cut image. And I'll go through and remove all the pieces and show you what to do after that. So the second part of this is, now I want to cut out the tree. So I'm going to line this up, and what I'm watching is I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm kind of watching at the bottom. I don't want this to cut all the way through. So I just happened, I've done this several times. So of course, you pick up a few things as you do it. Notice that I have to kind of rotate and play with it a little bit. I don't want to cut off anything at the top, although it's really not that big of a deal if you cut a little bit off of these top ones. But primarily, I want to make sure that I don't cut kind of the ends, the tips off. And you can kind of see that little section there. I'm looking at it all the way around, making sure that I'm not cutting off the tips of any of the branches. So I'm gonna bring that down like that. All right, and I'm gonna put it on my base plate, and I'm gonna tape it. See, I keep my little scraps of tape right here on my machine. I'll bring it up so you can see it again. So I taped it down there. I'm gonna put this in my die cutting machine again, and I'm gonna layer that again. Okay, let me do it this way. Slide that down. It's hard to do this on camera, I'm telling you. Can I get that through? There we go. Slide that through. Lay that down so that I don't cut all the way through, because I want some of that to remain attached. And all right. Why is that sliding out? There we go. Make sure I get them all. Get all my layers. Okay, here we go. That's gonna come through. All right. Now, put that out of the way. And now we'll need our scissors. And you can see how that didn't go all the way through? And I'm gonna cut the rest of it myself. I wanted to keep it a little short so that I didn't take any chances for it to go all the way through. So now I can just take out all the pieces that I don't need, and you will see that I will need to do some snipping to make sure that I get that all out. So what I'm gonna do is I pull my branch up, pull those branches up very gently, and then I can kind of just snip away at those pieces. Careful not to cut that branch. And then you can see how that layer right there, I'm just gonna cut it. Just kind of fussy cut it and make it look, well, that looks fine, right? And here's another kind of an inside layer. And gently lifting up the tree, the parts that I want to keep. Actually, I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to push that part down there. I want to make sure I don't get that little bitty branch. It's a little bit of a delicate, kind of like you're doing surgery without the life or death component, right? It is only paper after all. If I cut through a branch, you know, we have glue. It's not going to be a problem. So I'm going to cut through that piece, get that out of the way. That little piece right there. And then I'm faced with the same situation here. So I'm just going to, I think if I come from the bottom, it's the easiest. And I'm just kind of going to meet that little branch there. And I think that's fine. I probably could have arced it a little bit more and made it a little more decorative, but I think that's fine. Okay, get all the little bits and pieces out of the way. And that's it. That's partial die cutting. So you can do that. There are a lot of different dies that you can do that with. And now we'll assemble the rest of the card. I hope you like that. I just think that's such a neat technique. Of course, it doesn't work with everything, but with these dies, because the 2 layers, it works really well. All right, so let's get to the stamping. Because these are photopolymer stamps, we are going to bring in the stamping pad. And the inks that I'm going to use today are, we'll start with the Old Olive. That's the sentiment that's going to be on the front. And I'm using a sentiment from the stamp set. It's Friendships Refresh the Soul. So we are going to fussy cut this one today too. So I hope you have a good pair of really sharp scissors. I wanted to be able to show a lot of the background. So that's why I decided not to just fussy cut this. So let's bring that back, because the inside layer is also Old Olive. So this is so I'm going to bring that in. This is the inside layer. It's going to go in my card. So, and I just chose, I decided that Friendships Refresh the Soul, I wanted a happy birthday card. So this particular stamp set doesn't have a happy birthday sentiment in it, but of course I have plenty. We just have lots of stamp sets that have happy birthday. This one is, this happy birthday is from the Art Gallery stamp set that has carried over into the new catalog. Make sure I got that good and juicy. And I'm just going to, here we go. Okay, so that's that stamping. And now I'll show you kind of a fancy, a way to get some fun color in your stamps. I can't remember what this technique is called. I apologize for that. But we are gonna stamp on the bottom of this card. So I'm gonna bring in some paper. I just cut this piece of our paper down so that I could, because I'm gonna go over and I don't wanna get ink on my pad. So what we're gonna do, as you can see, I've already got this pretty inked up. What I'm gonna do, let me put that aside, is I want to get multiple colors on this card, because it's kind of I'm going for a fall look. So I've got, this is a Stampin' Spot. This is crushed curry. You can use your markers. I'll show you a way to use the markers. I just happen to have the Stampin' Spot. It's nice and small, and I'm just doing that in the center of that stamp. And this is Mary Merlot, and you can see where it was already kind of stained. Now you do have to be a little careful. Can you see how those lines kind of happen with the because of the edges? So I try to be a little conscious of that when I see it, and kind of make sure that I go over that a few times. Now I didn't have, to eliminate those lines, sorry. So I didn't have pumpkin pie. I didn't have it in a stamp. I didn't have it in a Stampin' Spot, but I had the marker. So I'm just coloring in the pumpkin pie marker, and I'm using, the marker has a short, thin end and a thicker end. I'm using that thicker side, And I'm just kind of filling in, and I'm going to kind of go over even a little bit in where the red is because I want those colors to kind of merge a little bit, just like a tree, you know, a fall tree would have. So I just kind of did that. Now with the Stampin' Right markers, I do find that it helps to kind of huff on it to make sure that it's nice and moist. So I did that. And then I'm going to, see, there we go. Oh, I just think that's so pretty. So now I'm going to come in again. Oh, and can you see where it's stamped off? I want to make sure I get that little goopy stuff off. So I'm going to come in again. I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to start with my my crushed curry in the center and my Mary Merlot around the outside, and just kind of gently tap, 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 tap all around the ink, the stamp. And then I'm going to color in with the pumpkin pie. And you can even use, like if you've got some areas that you feel are a little too intense, you know, you can come in and carry that. Like, see, I kind of picked up some of the red and it went up here. So put that aside. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do this on the side. Like that. So it kind of looks like there's some leaves, I think, on the bottom of the card. So here we go. And then I also, you know, I love to decorate my envelopes. So I'm going to do that one more time, and I'm going to do that on the envelope. And this time, so here we go, the yellow in the middle, the Mary Merlot around the outside, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to use one more stamp in this stamp set. And here we go with the orange. Around, and you know, of course, each time it's going to be a little bit different. So that's kind of fun, I think. You can get all kinds of special effects with that. Blur that a little bit. I think you can see how my marker got a little red on it. So go ahead and set that aside. And this time on my envelope, make sure I'm the right side up, right? I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher, because the others I felt look a little bit more like just leaves on the base, you know, on the bottom, they've fallen off the tree. And this time I'm going to I want this to look like the tree. So I'm bringing in some early espresso ink. It's one of the coordinating colors. And I'm going to stamp this tree stamp. And I'm stamping this off because it's a little too dark in the early espresso. So I'm stamping it off. And then I'm coming back in, I'm gonna put it up high, and I'm gonna go a little bit off the paper. I'm kind of lining up the bottom of the tree of the leaves with the bottom of the tree. And I just think, there you go. Isn't that cool? I feel like it looks like a fall tree. Of course, it's summer right now. I'm not really ready for fall yet. But when fall comes, I'll be ready, right? These fall birthdays, it's kind of nice to have a card available. So that's the envelope. Just love those colors. Okay, so let's get back to, let's see, did I do all my stamping? Yes. Let's close those up so they don't dry out. And I'm going to fussy cut the sentiment. So when you're cutting, I always use a nice sharp pair of scissors, and as you see, I'm keeping my scissors steady, but I'm turning the paper, and I'm just kind of following along, and I'm not trying to be too close, you know, I'm just kind of wiggling a little bit. It doesn't have to be exact. It will give the illusion that it's really following the lines of the sentiment, even though it's not. Especially when you get up to these multiple pieces. So multiple letters here like this. See, I can kind of just really kind of very slowly get that out of the way. Sometimes I just like to get rid of some of those smaller pieces. And keep going. So this is one of the cards that we featured with the Peach State Stampers. There were three demonstrators, myself included. We hosted a day of stamping with some of the stamp sets from the new catalog, and I featured 4 cards from this Beauty of Friendship catalog, and this is one of them. And I chose that stamp set because I really wanted to do this partial die cutting. Okay, so there's one other piece of die cutting that needs to be done. I've done it already. I didn't think you needed to see it, but I wanted to show you. This is another die from that stamp set. And when you cut it out, this is what you get. So I cut it out of the paper, the beautiful paper that comes with this stamp set. And that's the side I'm going to use. But look at, even that side is gorgeous, isn't it? And you'll see I'm going to incorporate some of that. So I just ran that through my die cutting machine and cut it out. And of course, all the little bits and pieces, came out with it. And I'm going to use that on this card. All right, I think I am ready. Oh yeah, I also did, I'm ready to put it together. So we start with our card base, bring that back in. We've got our sentiment. Let's go ahead and do the inside first. So we're going to take one of those layers of soft suede, and I'm going to just put that on the inside of the card. And then we'll layer the happy birthday on top of that. I like to use the liquid glue. Oh, you know what I did? No, I'm good. I'm good. Oh my goodness, I startled myself. I was thinking I put it on the wrong way. Have you ever done that? Certainly has happened. Not the end of the world. There we go. Just center that. I like the liquid glue, is what I started to say, because it gives me a little more wiggle room. Also, in my human environment, it really holds well. Okay, so now this layer is going to go here, but I want this one underneath it so you can see. Right, it's going to go under. So I'm just kind of loosely lining it up. It doesn't need to be perfect, but just kind of loosely. Yeah, that's about where I want it. So you see, I'm holding the bottom of the paper of the layer there. All right, now I'm just going to go ahead and I'm holding the left side. I'm going to put a little bit of liquid glue on a few of the larger areas to hold it down. It doesn't need to be held too firmly. All right, now that side's done, because you're just going to have another layer on top of it. So now that side is done, I can do the same thing over here. Just a few little areas. Just as you can see, there's not just a dab of glue. All right, and this layer is going to be on dimensionals because I want it to be popped up, right? So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' dimensionals, and I'll start out with layers all the way around, or with dimensionals all the way around the outside. Now I need to make sure that I put dimensionals here too, so that layer, oh, look at, I missed a spot, is up as well. Now this is a good time you can use the edges. If you've got, an edge piece, this is a great use for one of those. I just happened to recently open a new one, so I'm going to just stick with that. And I don't want it to show behind through. All right, and I'm going to put a few little the smaller Stampin' dimensionals on my tree, and I'm going to just kind of cut those pieces from the edge here. It's not critical really, but I just thought it would be nice to have a few. There we go. Just to hold it up a little bit. Here's another one. All right. Okay, here we go. Take all those off. So have you had a chance to look at the new annual catalog? Do you have a favorite? Let me know if you like, if you've seen this stamp set, what you think of it, or if you've got another favorite. There's so many beautiful new stamp sets. It's always hard to choose just a few, but I do try to be good about, you know, being selective about what I choose. All right, here we go. I'm just lining it up, layering it. And you saw I just had those two, and that's really all you need. The rest of it's whole, you know, just fine. I just had those two little dimensionals in the center here. And there we go. All right. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do? Isn't it always the way, the ribbon, right? I forgot to put my ribbon on before I attached that. Have you done that? I can't tell you how many times I've done that. It's not a big deal. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to just attach the ribbon there, but that's okay. The other thing I'm going to do is, you know, I looked at this, my sentiment will go on there. That's cute, but I wanted to add something else. So what I did was I took all of the little layers, all the pieces from the inside of this kit, of this die when I cut it out, and I saved them all. And I am going to layer them on the bottom of my card. And for the life of me now, I don't know what I did with them because I don't see them here. Let me see if I can find them in my studio, because I just pulled them all out this morning and put them, oh, I remember. Isn't that always the way? I put them somewhere special so that I would remember where they would be. And here they are. And then I couldn't find them. So these are a bunch of little pieces that were cut out. So the side, so this was the front side that I'm using, right? It has a lot of white in it, as you can see. So I really don't want to put all those white pieces down there. But look at this. If I flip them over, they've got more of the red pieces. So there you go. So I'm going to just pick out some of these, and I'm going to use my take your pick tool, this end that's got the adhesive on it. Look at that, see? So I'm gonna just put a little bit of glue on those, and I'm gonna line those up on the bottom. I'm just gonna kind of randomly, okay, I'm gonna be able to see this, randomly put them on the bottom of my card. There. And I literally am just being very random about this. A little bit of glue. Pick them up. Put a little bit of glue. Let's see, maybe that way. There we go. One more. So if you do not have your own Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you would like to order any of the products that I'm using today, I would love to be your demonstrator. You can follow the links on my Facebook page. You can follow me on Instagram. You can find me on Pinterest. And I would love to have you join me for more videos. I'm also on YouTube. And I just love Stampin' Up! I love making my products, making the cards, and I love sharing that with you. I do host classes in my home. We have a lot of fun, and I try to use, well, I do a different technique, show you different techniques each class, and we take special requests. If somebody's got a wedding coming up or a baby shower or whatever, you know, we go ahead and we'll make cards that will work for you. So I would love for you to join me. There we go. See, that worked. No problem. All right. So now I need to attach that ribbon. Since I messed up, I would have ideally run it around the back, but that's not a big deal. I'm going to use a glue dot. I'm going to use the other end of my take your pick tool. Take that glue dot. There we go. I'm going to kind of make it smaller. I'm just kind of mushing it together to make it smaller, and I'm going to put it on the end, on this end of my ribbon. And do the same thing on the other end. This ribbon is actually retired. This is the braided linen trim. It was in the January through June mini catalog. So if you were able to get some of that before it retired, then you can use that. You know, obviously there are lots of different ribbons that you can use. Stampin' Up ribbons. Stampin' Up's got some great ribbon. I do like these braided trims because they're just really easy to work with. There we go. All right, some more dimensionals, and we are almost done with this card. I like cards that you can make fairly quickly. This one's a little, more advanced than some of the others that I've shown you, but, got to step it up every now and then, right? Here we go. Put that right there. And then I'm going to make a little bow with this linen thread, and I'm going to attach it. Much easier attaching it that way than trying to tie the, let me come over a little bit further, trying to tie the bow and then attach it to the card. So this is kind of a little secret. It'll look like it's all the way, it's all one piece, but it's not. All right, here we go. See how easily that tied? Okay. This time I'm going to just put the bow on the twine, and I think right there. All right. And I don't want that to hide my letters, my sentiment. Let's just move it a little bit. There we go. We just need a little bit of bling, and we will be done. We will be done. So there are several different colors in this this paper that comes with this suite, and you really could feature this for multiple seasons. So I did demonstrate it. I had a winter card that I've done. So if you didn't see that, check that out on either my YouTube video or my Facebook page. And now this is the fall. And let's see. So what color do I want? I think I'm going to do, let's do the yellow. Here we go. Maybe right about there. Here we go. I just got to have a little bit of bling. And there you go. I think this is a beautiful card. I hope you like it. There's the envelope. And definitely add some different interest, some new techniques here for you. So if you like what you've seen, please give me a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, like my video on Facebook. It helps other people see me, and I appreciate your support. If you would share my video and share my page with anybody else that you think might be interested, I would appreciate your supporting my small business, which is really just my passion. And so until next week, when I'll have another video for you, I hope you have a great week. Bye for now.